CNN criticized, rightfully so, for platforming a known liar and convicted sexual abuser, Donald Trump. Here's how some of it went.
Millions of votes, and all you have to do is take a look at government cameras. You'll see them. People going to 28 different voting booths to vote, to put in 7 ballots apiece. I never met this woman. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born. I did finish the wall. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away so much. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. Get boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
Basically what he did on Fox News. So no one is surprised by anything he said. Nothing he presented was newsworthy. It was a repetition, a repeat of all of his greatest hits known as lies. Now, the reaction from Jake Tapper was telling, but definitely on point. Here it is.
It was an interesting night. Mr. Trump's first lie was told just seconds into the night with his false familiar claim that the 2020 election was, quote, a rigged election. And the falsehoods kept coming fast and furious about the January 6th insurrection, about the threat to Vice President Pence, about Pence's ability to overturn the election, about COVID, about the economy and more. He called a black law enforcement officer a thug. He said people here in Washington, D.C. at Chinatown don't speak English. He attacked Kaitlin as a nasty woman because she was trying to get him to answer a question. Perhaps most chillingly, the day after a 9-person jury of his peers in New York found him liable for sexual battery and defamation and ordered him to pay writer E. Jean Carroll $5 million, he made fun of her account of her sexual assault. And many in the audience laughed.
The audience was actually heavy with Trump loyalists. And you could tell by the way he connected to those on the front row in particular. Now, let's say this about CNN. Jake Tapper is correct. The irony is he works for CNN. If we criticize those who engage in platforming, understand this: the criticism is fair on one hand, unfair on the other. Now, CNN, I believe, completely screwed this up. If you're going to invite a person like Donald Trump, platform Donald Trump, and keep in mind, I'm saying this from the perspective of a man who hosts a show that platforms the opposite opinion on a regular basis. So this is not about Trump having ideological principles that may differ from yours. It's not what this is about. When I platform an adversarial person who is hell-bent on destruction and chaos, as you all have said Trump is on CNN, they're not coming to do an interview with me. They're coming to be dealt with. And the spirit of that particular exchange should have been in that stance. My opinion only. But CNN, you all have said on record, Donald Trump started the insurrection. That makes him a terrorist. You all have said on record that he likely committed sexual assault and the offenses that have been launched at him for years, many of them likely true, if not all. You all have made it clear Donald Trump is adversarial to the progress of this nation. And then after a jury convicted him of sexual assault and defamation, you all platformed the individual. Think about the liability connected to that. The man was just found guilty by a jury of defamation. You platform him. What if he defamed somebody during that interview? Live. What if he does that? Can you say in good faith you had no idea that was going to happen? According to the courts, according to court rulings, you should have. All right, so the day after the jury held Trump liable, guilty, responsible for sexual abuse and defaming writer E. Jean Carroll and awarding her $5 million in damages, the former president was for some reason given the opportunity to take the stage at CNN Town Hall Wednesday night and defend himself. And as expected, Trump shirked all responsibility for the sexual assault by claiming he's never even met Carroll. All right, so we know that's a lie. Remember, there's actually a picture, okay? But the jury convicted this individual and CNN platformed him. He was able to bring her up once again in a disparaging way. CNN, are you going to reach out to her to make sure she has an opportunity like you gave Donald Trump? Let's do a town hall. Let her spill the beans, so to speak, say what she wants to say. I mean, after all, you all platformed Donald Trump. There's more. Trump played his usual hits to an appreciative audience throughout the town hall. The audience was very friendly to him. He falsely called the election rigged. He said the crowds gathered in DC on January 6, 2021 were there with, and I quote, with love in their hearts for a, and quote, beautiful day. He said he was inclined to pardon many. Remember, they committed terrorism of those convicted of January 6 related offenses. He empathized with the 4 Proud Boys members convicted of seditious conspiracy last week. In Washington, D.C., he said, you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot, just like in New York, you can't get a fair trial. More laughs, more applause. Why? Because CNN platformed him, okay? Remember when he was running for re-election and he told the Proud Boys to stand by, right? Remember he said that? Remember he was challenged on that? Biden even challenged him. He said, what do you mean by that? Stand by. He says, oh, I don't even know the Proud Boys. Never really heard of them. Don't know much about them at all. Lies. Part of the plan from the beginning. Exactly where this nation is headed is where Trump and his cronies wanted it to be. The only people who can stop it is you and I. That is it. For now, democracy is still intact, but barely. You can still vote. Your vote, for the most part, will still be counted. That may not be the reality of our future if we do not step up and be bold. All right, dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
There's no way, as you alluded to, CNN did not see this coming. And we had an example of what this could be merely 5 weeks ago when 60 Minutes interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene with Leslie Stahl. Right. Leslie Stahl didn't put up much of a barrier or a fight when it came to MTG's lies. And I will give Kaitlin Collins some credit. She tried to fight.
She tried.
She tried. She put up a fight, but she was put in a really difficult situations for what? In the interest of appearing to be fair and balanced and nonpartisan, wasn't worth it. I'm glad CNN is being killed. And as a leftist progressive myself, when people always accuse me of being like a CNN fan, which I hate watch Fox News way more than I even glance at CNN, but whatever. I'm glad they're getting this today. And they need to get this because they were getting this in the weeks in advance before this even took place. They knew what was going to happen. They made their bed, and I'm hoping that they're getting some restless sleep in it right now.
All right, yeah. You know, everything cannot be about ratings, which means everything cannot be about money. I do believe that there has to be principle applied, and in the long run, it bends in your favor.